Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. I haven't seen some of you guys in a while, so I wanted to get a video out. We're just over halfway through the month, and I wanted to at least touch base with you guys about something that I've been talking about in my store visits, something I've been talking about with my DMs, and that's culture. So we always talk about having a sales culture. We always talk about you have to have a sales culture in your store, but rarely do we break down really easy ways to build that culture, and that's what I'm going to do for you today. So later on this afternoon, or maybe this morning, I'll be sending out our September sales plan for the month and where we stand on each of those metrics, but it's a lot easier to get to those metrics if you're building a sales culture. And who does the sales culture start with? Well, unfortunately or fortunately, it starts with you. This is just for the manager, so if you're not responsible, if you're not the one driving the sales culture, then you don't have one, right? So you either are, your store has a culture either because of what you're doing, or it doesn't have a culture because of what you're not doing. So let's talk about some easy ways to build a sales culture. And there's 3 easy steps to it. You can do it your own way if you're doing great now. You don't have to change. But if you don't love your sales culture, there's really 3 easy ways to build that, and it's the 3 Ps. It comes down to play, it comes down to purpose, and it comes down to potential. So if you can really nail those 3 things, you're gonna build a sales culture that's successful. So let's talk about play. 1, it can't always feel like work. It has to feel like play. I mean, we're hiring young kids, and what you see is all these apps that are coming out for work that is the gamification of work and the gamification of people's jobs. Because if you can make it feel like play, if it doesn't feel like work all the time, then people get lost in it and it becomes enjoyable and it no longer feels like a task. So you can do that by splitting your team up into 2 teams and competing against each other. You can do that by having your team compete against another store. You can do that by challenging somebody to sell something every day that's a different product. You can do that by setting a store goal and having the whole team get on board to getting that store goal for each day, or from 1 to 4, from 4 to close. It's always got to feel like a game, and you're driving that. Because sometimes it's going to feel like work. We can't help that. But any job where it feels like work every minute of every day, it's very hard to drive a healthy, positive culture. So play is the first one. The second one is purpose. And we can give our people purpose. Here's why you're here. Here's what we need to do. Here's where we need to go. But you're only doing half the job if you don't understand their own personal why. Why are they here? Their personal purpose. You have to know every member of your staff's personal purpose. What are we trying to do for you that you can satisfy your personal why? And if you can combine the 2, our purpose, and then more importantly, lead with their purpose for being here in your coaching sessions, in your conversations daily, in your monthly reviews, then you're tapping into why they're there. And if you can give them direction on their purpose and we can satisfy their purpose, it's a lot easier to keep them on board and keep them engaged. And last but not least, is potential. Either that's financial potential, either that's career potential. What's your next step? Let's get you the senior sales rep. Let's take you to a possible manager role. Or it's potential on, this job's going to prepare you for another job, or potential to get to your purpose, right? You can tie those 2 together. But if we're not having conversations about play, purpose, and potential, and we don't combine all of those, and you're not driving that, your culture is probably lacking and struggling a little bit. And I know, being in this role and being in all of your roles and in the DM role before, it's hard to drive a sales culture and get everybody on the same team. But if you break it down to the 3 Ps, people are happier, they're going to be more productive, they're going to stay longer, and there's 3 easy ways to do that. So I hope you take something from this. Driving into the iPhone launch this weekend, huge month in front of us, huge next 2 weeks. But let's have fun while we're doing it. Let's make sure that we're hitting play, purpose, and potential. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. See ya.